we go. Hi, Elissa.
Hello.
How are you, friend?
Always good to see you.
You too. I miss you, my studio neighbor.
I know. I miss you too, and I miss our art conversations through the wall.
Yeah, I used to love listening to your podcast. You used to play American Life all the time. It was
I know.
Good. So for
and
everyone,
then watching the Gilmore Girls sometimes. I remember that too.
Oh yeah. Oh, bless those girls.
Got us through.
So for everyone watching and listening, Elissa and I went to college together, and we were both art majors, and we worked our senior year. They give the seniors a stall, literally a horse stall.
It was a horse stall.
On our campus, and it's the coolest little building. There's no bathrooms though, which was a little tricky, but wasn't far from the library. And so it was the best because it was like our own little artist co-op like space that we got to work on our senior thesi.
I don't know. Theses.
Okay. Thesi. Oh God. Clearly I was an art major. Our exhibitions, there we go, among each other. And then did you take the figure painting class with Sue as well?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so I was in my studio for like.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, so I had been in there for like a long time. So it was like my second.
I loved it. If I wasn't in class, I feel like I was there, just kind of gravitated towards it. It was just my place, you know.
Yeah, it was just a cool place to hang out and like sit with everybody, and I miss that so much. I'm working on getting back to that community again.
Yeah, I mean there are places around here I know that, and of course they, cost things, and we didn't think anything cost anything in college.
I know. Well, and also when we had like people like Z like spoiling us with like art supplies, it was like,
I know.
We were in the same drawing class with him, and he like gave us all of the supplies. Maybe I mean we paid through our tuition obviously, but that was like, but anyways,
it felt like a gift.
I did, and totally. Well, he even said, he's like, it's Christmas.
Yeah.
The bag full of it all. Oh, it was so good. Yeah. Well, why don't you introduce yourself and what you're up to and your business and where you're located too.
Okay, so my name is Elissa, and I am in Beverly, Massachusetts, which is just north of Boston, about 20 minutes north, half an hour. And I am a painter, and I draw as well, and I'm actually starting to figure out sculpture, which is a street and a half. And yeah, I kind of try to fuse all of them together. It's very fluid. Some weeks I'm painting very intensely. Some weeks I'm just drawing on, some really small drawing papers.
You've been doing a lot of collage too.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I can't forget about that. I do a lot of collage. I actually just kind of bringing that back into my life right now, but they seem to have their seasons. And yeah, I've been developing a business very, very slowly, but it's fun. I mean, it's fun, and it's so fulfilling, and sometimes miserable just because it's hard, but very fulfilling. And you have to be 150% in, and it's a pleasure and a joy. And
journey of the artist, and then throw in the business side. Yeah, it makes it a roller coaster.
Yeah, taxes.
Oh my gosh, please barf. We got an extension to July, and I was like, I just gotta get it done now because I'm gonna have a heart attack between.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I know all those new things, those things we didn't know about. But
and you're also an art teacher, right?
I am. I'm an art teacher as well. I do a lot of different plates, spinning. I'm a teacher to everyone. I have, sirens. I teach everybody from kindergarten. I have high school. I have some adults as well. So it's a lot. It keeps me on my toes, and it's really good. So yeah, that's me.
And I feel like your work kind of stemmed a lot from your work that you did for your senior exhibition. Do you feel like that's true? Like it kind of morphed from that into what you're doing now?
I'll talk a little bit about that. So what I did in my senior exhibition when Sam and I were at school together, I did some very small wooden kind of collage, paintish fusion pieces about, I think, kind of centered around food and femaleness and the relationship, the tense relationship between those two. And that's my clock. You'll hear that a little bit. The relationship, the friendship, the tension between those two things. And then in the past few years, I've been exploring that, and expanding on that a little bit more. My work, it has been very figurative, but maybe touching on issues of mental illness and mental health. So last year I spent the summer working on a series centered around the work of the poet Jane Kenyon and some of her poetry. And it was a wonderful, fruitful experience. She just struggled a lot with mental health and have some beautiful poems, and just it's such a wonderful thing to see beauty and creation come out of that. And she's certainly not the only one who's doing that. So yeah, that last year, and just actually recently, I've been diving into abstraction 100%. So it's it's just fun. It changes all the time, and it's fun to go with that. And yeah. So I'll go back to figurative someday, but right now I'm loving the abstraction.
Well, I think what I really love about your figure stuff too was that they were abstracted figures still. Yeah. Like you knew that they were figures, but it wasn't hyper realistic whatsoever. It was very yeah. But it was like, yeah, they're so unique and lovely, and just like, I remember when you started like pulling those shapes out of collages in you. Oh, I get chills thinking about it, because remember Jean like losing her mind when she saw them. Like she was just like, oh, yes, like
it took her a little while.
Yeah, that's true. She was hard on you for quite a while.
She was hard on me, yeah. And I needed that. I needed that at that point, because
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that. And I love you're doing abstractions, and Z is doing crazy abstractions right now.
Oh,
and
it's so fun.
In the way and the mannerisms that you're making your paintings or drawings right now. It's really cool to watch.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And my hope is, because I think figurative, like drawing figures is very much in my heart and in my bones, my artist bones, but kind of hope that this abstraction will, once I go back to figures, this will help in some way. And I don't know what that is yet. I'm not ready to go back into figures, I know. And it's weird, I don't really know why. But my hope is that I'll go back and I'll be like, oh, this is why I was doing what I was doing. Yeah.
That's really cool. There's an artist that I love. I'll send you her information. Her name's Danielle Crissa, and she's a collage artist. And she is obsessed with figures and in collage as with abstraction. So she will take globs of paint that she paints.
No, I know her. She is so fun. Does she have these little figures who are kind of responding to the globs? Yes, they are so funny. Like, it's so humorous, and she's just so witty.
To them too. Yeah. So she has a podcast that you should listen to.
Yeah. The Jealous Curator, is that her? Yeah.
Art for Your Ear. She's like, oh my gosh, she's like one of my all-time favorites. I love her so much. But thinking about her work makes me think about your work, and that like maybe you take some of your figures or make copies of your figures and like cut them out and use them within your abstraction or something in a way that's like playing.
Oh, that's an interesting idea.
Yeah, because I think that like the energy in your abstractions is like its own piece. So then if you include a figure that's like responding to it, that could be kind of cool.
Observing it, there's just something very whimsical about that. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I could have like tiny little figures hanging off my sculptures. That would be very
yeah.
Well, you'll see some stuff later.
I'm excited. Oh my God, it's so fun. Well, so what has been your favorite part of being a working artist and owning a business? I know it's like a weird
yeah.
It doesn't feel like you're owning something necessarily, but you've done shows and you make products and you sell through Etsy. So What's your favorite part?
Um, I mean, of course, being in the creative process and being free to do that is just wonderful. And seeing where that takes me, that is probably the best part. Another best part is someone's interested in my work and wants it in their house. I mean, it's just such a reward. Yeah, those two things I think are wonderful. I guess the artistic process is the best, but also can be very difficult. So it has its coming and going and being good and being dreadful. But yeah, it's so rewarding for someone to see my work and say, I want that on my wall. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
You know? You sure?
I know. I like, as soon as someone shows an interest like at a show or something, I like cannot get it into their hands quick enough because I'm like, don't change your mind. Don't
Right, quick.
you want it? Pay for it. Yeah. You know, but because I've had people like, because I make a lot of little things, and so sometimes they'll have like handfuls of stuff and then just be like, never mind. And I'm like, ugh.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
I
like,
know. It's so painful when that happens. It is. And you just got to move on.
yeah, stop. You gotta have a thick skin, man, when you're doing this shit, because it is not easy.
Objective and thick skin. You have to be even keeled. And I'm so not. I'm all over the place.
Because it's like, because it's such a roller coaster. Like you'll have someone that's like praising your work, or sometimes like overpaying for your work, and then there's someone who you cannot pay to buy your work.
I know, yeah.
Balance, because you get excited. Like for me, my issue recently has been getting excited for commissions that I get asked to do, and then I won't even write up a contract or anything, and I'll spend all this time doing the thing, and then they want to change it, and I have no grounds to say, well, pay me more then, because I do this work, you know, because I get excited about it.
Yeah, I know. You have to think through. You do have to step back and be objective. And I think that probably comes with time, because we're so new, and to get a commission is such an exciting thing. But to step back and be like, okay, it's a commission. I'm playing it cool. And you have to write something up. It's
No, I know.
Yeah.
Matt literally said when I told him about something recent that happened where something fell through, and it was just like just awkward, and the communication was bad, and I had already done like 4 hours of work and like didn't officially charge them yet. I told him, I was like, I just got excited because it's such a cool concept and I just wanted to make it work. And he was like, you can't get excited about anything, okay? Just nothing's exciting.
Yes, but it's true.
Yeah. It's like, okay, like, yeah, you really got to play the cool kid of like it's like fishing. Like you got to keep them on the line.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta like set things up right for yourself so that you don't get screwed ultimately. It's
Right.
like, sucks. Like, you know, and it's not like their intention, but the client most likely doesn't know the process.
We're supposed to know the process.
That's why they're paying us to go through all of that. But it's just a challenge, I know.
Yeah.
So what advice do you have for someone looking to take their art to the next level or start to sell their work, from your experience taking it from going to art school to now selling your work?
Yeah.
Trying to sell your stuff pretty much right after we graduated. I remember you like.
Yeah, and it's been, I think a few things come to mind. Is it is really slow. For me, it's been really just a slow climb, and there is a climb. It's encouraging to see that. But I had high expectations for myself, and it's just not realistic. I think, I would encourage people who are just starting out, find, a hustle and set low expectations for yourself right after school, and know that you're in it for the long haul. So that's one piece of advice. I sell over Etsy, and I think it's a good platform, but I also think that you need to tell everyone about that platform everywhere, because people aren't just going to find you. And I would say that in general, people aren't just going to come up to you and say they want something. You really do have to put yourself out there, and it's the worst.
Yeah.
But that's what you're supposed to do. Those are the two things I can think of right now.
I think too, like, Yeah, keeping expectations low, but like thinking outside of the box. Like you started making like adorable, beautiful like temporary tattoos with
Yeah,
your,
yeah.
like making, if it's like you're finding out it's not selling, like prints aren't, or your originals aren't selling as fast as you want, think about making prints, think about making temporary tattoos, like think of other ways to get your work in people's hands.
Yeah. And that's something I appreciate about you a lot, is I'm seeing you think so creatively. It's not just about the artwork on the piece of paper, but about the idea and the kind of lifestyle behind it. And the many different ways you can take that. I think also one other thing I would say is, I think when you're young, I'm youngish, is that I do have wrinkles starting. I can't believe it.
I'm teaching.
Yeah. Yeah, is that you do have to be willing to kind of be on a lot. Like, I'll have things going on, you'll have a show late at night, or you'll have to get ready, and it might be something that's really tedious, but just, I think there are sacrifices you're going to have to make. If you are working another job, you're going to have to go home at night and keep working and do your art. And I have a very supportive partner, and I think that's really important. Yeah. You have to be ready for that. If you want to go somewhere and you're starting out, with a job during the day, get ready, because you're going to have to work at night.
Yeah. I think that's important to share with people, because like even a friend just texted me yesterday who is a dear friend of mine, and she's like working her own different hustles and has a farmhouse out in Minnesota. So she's kind of doing like the lifestyle blog of a farm life and does oils and things like that. And she's like, she has a 1-year-old at home. And her husband's a farmer. And so she was like, I need advice on like when to do my stuff. And I'm like, girl, I am not the person to talk to, because I only have a cat. So I don't know what it's like to have a little one to take care of. But you have to figure out your own body and your own schedule. And if like you can get up early then. And like, get in that time. I've heard a lot of artists who are mothers say that that's how it starts. You have to carve out time. And I think that's the thing that a lot of makers and creatives in general have a pretty good grip on, is the fact that you have to make time. Yes. It's not about having enough time or not, because you never will.
You never will.
You're
not going to happen upon time. You're not going to happen upon people who want to buy your work necessarily sometimes.
Right. And I think right now with like the pandemic is like, I happened upon time, Yeah. This is like a once in a lifetime experience for some people. Like I know I'm in a small percentage of folks who didn't have another job, and was able to keep pivoting into something else with my business. But like, you just got to make time no matter what it is. I think that's good advice. And I think that your work really has been so consistent. Like, you've had a presence consistently, and I know the struggle, girl. I know it feels like a slow train coming in from China. It's like never and sometimes you go a little bit faster, and then it's like silent for months, and it's like weird. It's like this weird, but it's the long haul, and it's like, but you've been putting out work consistently since school. So I just like, apply, and I know that I'm looking at the highlight reel, and I know that we see just their social media and what they choose to share, but
super curated. Yeah,
exactly.
You don't see me crying in a corner after a bad show. It happens.
And that's why like meeting people like this is important, to share your story and to share the truths of it, because like no matter how successful someone is, there's always the underside of the tapestry that people don't see. It's all important though, and it's all behind it. So I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. That's very sweet. And it means a lot, because I tend to see more of the undersides. I think I would say, here's one more thing, for every 10 studio days I have, one is a good one. And just showing up every day to those maybe not the best studio hours that you have is still so important, because I think that's I find is when I'm probably learning the most is when I'm just sticking it out.
Yeah.
But we don't see those from other artists. We don't see their bad days.
Right, exactly. I tell my students that all the time. I have this one little girl who has taken my classes pretty consistently, and I'll do a demo project with them or whatever, or show them something, and she'll be like, "You're just so good." And I'm like, "Why do you think that is?" And I always practice. She goes, "Because you practice." I'm like, "Yeah, girl." I was like, my art like took a long time. I tell this to everybody. Like, if like it took me so long to like what I made.
Yeah.
And I think like going to art school definitely helped, because we had to just produce so much and like hone our skills quickly. But you know, how many pieces of newsprint did we go through in college? Like, oh my goodness, you know, like there's so, you have to have the experience behind whatever you're doing. And so if you like work on one piece and it doesn't sell, it's like, well, of course not. Like there's no experience behind it. Like you might get lucky, but like that is like 1 in a million.
Right. And I think like that taught me all that newsprint. I think about like all that art we made. It taught me to hold things really lightly.
Yes.
Like my artwork is not going to change the world, and it's okay. And I might have a ton, like 30 years from now, I might have like a ton of my work left, and I'll turn it into something else, or you know, it's just there. It was, and it's okay. I think we kind of have to hold our work lightly. Otherwise, we're going to be paralyzed and not get anything done.
It's true. Yeah. And I think if you like live in that pool of the same stuff too, over and over again, and it's not growing, or the work isn't growing, then it's like, yeah, you're kind of stuck. But like we were talking, I don't think we were recording yet, but about how pivoting into like a new season now with this break, like maybe making all new work, like what you're doing, making all new abstractions, like it's good to take breaks, because then you're just building more skills to then use to play with everything else again. Like it's all fluid. Like sticking to one thing forever, especially at our age, like we don't need to do that, you know. I think it's great like people like Becky, who is like phenomenal at what she does, like Becky Orcutt with like her hyper realistic paintings, like found her niche and she found it and she's killing it. That's great. And like, but I think for people like us, where we have interest in multiple mediums, you know, being okay with stepping away from something. There's an artist I listened to through Art for Your Ear, through Danielle Chris's podcast, who talked about, I'll have to find her, but she's a multi-talented multimedia artist who will literally have seasons of time where she like cranks out a whole show or two of work, of specific work, and then she'll never do it again. And then she moves. Like she was making these like hyper realistic pencil and charcoal drawings, like giant drawings of objects, just like random objects that were like picture perfect, giant drawings. And she sold out, like she was so successful with them. Then she stopped doing that. Then she was doing hyper realistic colored pencil helium balloons. Helium balloons. You know, like she just like kind of kept transforming and picking a new medium to do for every chunk of season of time. And then the next one she was talking about that she had just completed, I think, or was in the works of opening, I forget now, was a whole installation experience in the house where she like created every room to be a different color and it had objects to match. It was like totally different. Like it wasn't anymore, you know. And so people like her are super encouraging for me, because, you know, thankfully our school, we were art majors, but we technically had to pick a concentration, but they didn't force us to do that for our show. And I remember that the day I had to talk to Z about what my concentration was going to be, and we sat there in silence for quite a while, because I was like,
I don't know.
We have the most classes in, and he was like, painting, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'm a painting. Whatever, like it doesn't matter. They were so gracious with listening to us as artists our senior year to respond in support to whatever medium we wanted to explore, which I so appreciated of them.
Yeah. That idea of, I like that idea of us being very, yeah, we should, I don't feel tied to one
Yeah.
media. And so I have a hard time answering that question. What media do you, I have a hard time. And I think that's actually a really cool thing. That's not what everybody does, but I think especially as you're a developing artist, try dabbling. Like I think I'm like, oh, is my voice going to be in this? Of course it is. It's me. Like, I hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, just, it's neat to try things. You may find something that you fall in love with. And
Right.
yeah.
Even just like random things. Like I took, I don't know if you've seen them, but I started painting letterpress drawers.
Oh yeah, I did see that. Very cool. Yeah.
And that was inspired by, the first one I did was inspired by the color chart challenge that we had to do for Jean's class. Like
Yeah.
100 million little squares of paint that we had to mix.
So much during that.
Yeah. So it came from that. And I was like, I just want to try this. And then sure enough, I had made 5 of them and I had a show, and then I did another show, and then people started to buy them. So I'm like, hey.
I have something. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's just, it's exciting and overwhelming all at the same time, I think, being artists like us, because it's like, you really got to like listen to what you feel like doing in the moment and respond to it. I tell people that all the time. It's like, you can't go with what's trending. It's helpful if you know that you'll sell the thing. Like my pet portraits, like, did not expect that to be a thing, but they sell. But like, you have to make something that you feel passionate about in that moment, because like, that's literally your job as an artist.
Even if you don't understand it.
Right.
Like paper sculptures, I have no idea where that's going, but I'm enjoying myself. And like, for some reason, I'm just drawn to it. So I'm going to keep doing it. I don't have a plan for it necessarily right now, but I trust that will come.
Yes.
Yeah.
The world is huge. Like, I was going to say the art world is huge, which it is, but like the world in general is huge, and people will respond to something that they love, whether or not they have an art background or not.
Right.
You know,
Yep.
so many kinds of people out there that, like, I've talked to so many different small businesses about this, of like, you know, they're worried that no one will buy their stuff. And I'm like, or if someone's been critical of their stuff, I'm like, well, they're not your people. Like,
Right.
people come, it might take a while to get your name out there, but if you are doing what you love, then keep going, man. They'll show up.
Yep. Yeah. People are not going to stop buying things. People are not going to stop looking for things that they love.
Right. So how have you had to pivot things during this time? You've been home now as a teacher. So have you been able to work in more studio time, or how has it affected your life?
So I work at a small school. So as things were adjusting in March, our school closed in March. As things were adjusting, I had a ton of studio time. And I would say, and I recognize that this is not the case for everybody. There was a lot of stress and everything like that. But I do feel that I grew so much for such a short time. And it was incredible. It made me realize just how important time is for an artist. And it's so rare. But it felt a little bit like I was given what are those things called where you go, a retreat, for an artist, it's called
like a residency.
Yes. I do feel like it was a bit, and it was a lonely one. It was difficult. It was very, I was stressed out. But
fun.
it did feel like I did so much growing. There were some parts of it that were such a gift. Because I feel like my whole direction has changed. And to be honest, the more time I was able to put in my business, the more revenue I saw too. That's just the way it is. So I have seen a lot of growth in what I've been doing over the past few months. People are eager to support small businesses, or they know. So yeah, we'll see what happens, but it was just neat to see that little uptick in activity for me and for clients too. So it was good. I'm curious to see what's next, and I'm just trying to be curious and not stressed.
Right. Yeah. That's a good notion. I need that on a Post-it note somewhere. Be curious.
Not stressed.
Yeah. Good point. I know, right? I was shocked at how many people started buying from me as soon as this hit. Like,
Yeah.
so happily surprised because I truly was like, and that's why I kind of jumped into it full force, because I was like, well, shoot, they want to spend their money now. That might not be the case in a month.
Right. Yeah.
Better get it together, but like, it's just incredible how people show up. And I think that's something I talk a lot about with people is like, you have to hustle hard, but you have to be open to blessings and unknown happiness and unknown connections and fruitfulness showing up, because you can't control that. You just have to put out what you want, and like, hopefully it'll come back twofold or more, like, you don't know. And so that's so encouraging though, to hear that it's been growing for you. That's awesome.
It's been good for me. Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. Well, how can people best support you right now? What are some things you have in your Etsy shop that you're excited about, or some new things you're working on?
So definitely go check out my Etsy. And you can, so there's a link definitely on the small vendors list. And also you can get to my website. You can get to my website. It's just elissalincoln.com, and then you can get to my shop really easily from there. And check out my website too, because a lot of that stuff is kind of the bigger, I call it the bigger, darker stuff, like the serious stuff, is on my website, and just take a look at it and see that's kind of stuff that's been in the background. And my Etsy site, I'm excited about. A lot of the originals are just kind of my favorites, and I don't want them to leave, but please take them. And I also have these beautiful temporary tattoos. I feel like they're perfect for summer coming. And they come in a pack of 4, each one, like a pack of 4 different ones. And they're just super cute. They're very dainty and delicate. So I love them.
In the virtual basket auction, you have in there too, so people can potentially win those.
Right. There and hopefully I'll kind of be cranking out a few more as the summer goes on, but they're a great set. So just on my Etsy site, and then of course on Instagram, I'm there all the time. And if anybody's interested in what I'm doing there, some of it's not on Etsy, some of it's not on the website. So they can just, people can get in touch with me over Instagram as well. So
do you still have your cards in your shop? I haven't checked recently. Are you still making?
I don't have any greeting cards right now. And I think I just sold out of bags. So we don't have a lot of print things going on, but stay in touch.
Yeah. Follow along. Yeah. Well, it was so good to see you, friend.
It was great to see you.
Encouraging.
And we'll be in touch and talk business and all those things. And thanks for putting all this together.
Yeah, girl. Thank you for being a part of it.
Yeah, and stay cool.
Yeah, you too.
I'll try.
All right, friend. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.